Okay,
All right.
sure.
Thank you. Hey everybody, welcome to JC. I hate you. I hate you so much. Why would you? Why?
You can leave that in. Keep going.
It's too late now.
Yeah, we're in it, and
I.
I'm the Beardless.
No. All right. Hey everybody, welcome to JC and the Beardless. We're your hosts. I'm JC.
I'm the Beardless, and today we're going to talk about thin privilege, Facebook counterterrorism unit, featuring Jack Bauer, and we're going to look at some of Trump's tweets and much more.
Oh, so much more. You just don't even know what you're in for. It's going to be a roller coaster ride.
All right, so what do you want to start off with today?
Let's talk about thin privilege. No longer are you only privileged if you're a white male, but also if you're thin. Though if you're a white male, it doesn't
Like
really matter.
weight thin,
Yeah, thin.
like anti-me.
Yeah.
So, we'll
Except
see.
don't be confused. You are still privileged because you're a white man.
Okay, but
So
I'm an overweight white man.
that's
so
okay.
That puts me
no,
in a
but they
different category,
count
right?
it counteracts for you
Oh,
though.
So
you,
white privilege is above
we're already
all.
we're already privileged, so it doesn't matter for us. But if you're like a minority, you still have some level of privilege if you're not obese.
So now you can be like a triple minority, because like you could call someone a double minority, say
Yeah.
it's an African American
Woman,
woman,
yes.
double minority. But
Now
if
you
it's
gotta-
an overweight African American woman, she is now a triple.
Yes.
Can I get triple minority?
You know what's great though?
Yeah.
In America, it's not even a minority anymore. To be overweight is average.
Well, yeah. Honestly, yeah.
But
that's pretty average,
that's
yeah.
okay. Thin privilege. I have an article here. I'm going to reference if I can find the right one. So let's see if I can find this woman's name.
It's really, while you're looking that up, when you said thin privilege, I was like expecting something like, hey, that person had privilege, but it's a very thin amount of privilege. That's what I was thinking when I first heard it. I'm like,
No.
So it's like you have slight privilege.
Skinny privilege.
Yeah, okay, skinny privilege.
Although it's considered the woman that coined the term called it thin privilege.
Okay.
But her name is, as far as I know, this is the first person to bring it up. Cora Harrington. She went on a Twitter rant.
Okay, now do we know if Cora Harrington got her triple doctorate in women's studies? Women and gender studies? Because that's usually...
women, gender, and weight studies.
Where,
but not like
the most
health weight
moronic
studies.
stuff come from.
Not like health weight studies, but the social aspect of weight.
Okay.
She studied that.
The social aspect of weight.
Yes, that's her doctorate. The social aspect
Like
of weight.
people say, oh, I only smoke socially. Like when I go to a
Yeah.
party, it's like, oh, I only eat a whole
Except
pizza
I don't know. Yeah.
when I'm
I
by
only-
myself
I
and
only
I feel
eat a whole
lonely.
pizza every night
Okay.
when I'm hungry.
It helps.
or when I'm bored.
It does.
Or always.
Or always, yeah. Anytime I can.
But okay, so the thing she started out with that really just got my goat was this first tweet. All she said was,
did you bring a goat today?
well, I tried to, but she got it.
Oh, okay. All right.
It would
Thanks
be
a
in
lot.
studio,
Okay. Well, I'm glad it's not. There's too much
Harrington
stuff to
got
eat
it.
around here.
but her first tweet was, "Hey, because you gotta get attention. Hey, you don't have to feel thin to have thin privilege."
You don't have to feel thin. Wait, you don't have to feel thin.
Yeah.
Like feel thin.
Yeah, like you don't have to feel like you're a thin person.
Oh, so like
You don't have to
like
think, I am
personally,
thin.
Yeah, like you could be like, man, I need to lose some weight. I'm not as
Yeah.
thin as I need to be. And
You
healthy.
could be the most socially conscious person about your weight, feel like a fat lard all the time.
Right, but you still have thin
you could
privilege.
still have thin privilege.
Okay, so it's not an inner thing. It's not something that you create inside yourself.
Yeah, basically, I'm not going to go through all her tweets, but basically what she said is, because this happens all the
Was
time.
there one really, really good tweet that you need to read
Well-
that'll just make us, stay awake at night wondering how people like this were even born?
I'll have to go back over them and.
Okay.
But
well, you
I'm
can
gonna
keep
go
talking.
over.
If
I'm gonna
you
go
find
over
one,
the.
let me know.
I'm gonna go over the basic points of it though. Basically, this is how you know if you have thin privilege, because
Okay.
this is things that happen to overweight people all the time, according
And
to
I can
Harrington.
tell you if they happen or not.
Yeah.
So,
So according
I'll
to
let you know.
Harrington, if you were larger, people always judge what you have in your grocery cart in the store. So she said, if you can walk through the grocery store without someone suggesting healthier options, then you have thin privilege.
Wait. I have never had anyone come up to me in the store and say, you see those Totino's pizzas right there that you're going to cook all of them tonight and eat all of them because they're just that good? Maybe you should switch that to kale. and some nice fruit.
That's a great viable option.
I mean, no one's ever done that in the history of ever. See, that's the problem. This lady probably lives somewhere smug like San Francisco, where someone judges you on your cart. Yeah. It's like, why would anyone come up to a stranger and feel that they need to preach to them? It's other lefties, because they want to do that in every other part of our life. Oh, you shouldn't use that plastic straw.
I want to point this one out because I don't think I'm perfectly fit, but I consider myself relatively thin. Right? Would you say that I'm a thin person, correct?
So we could be JC and the Beardless, or thick and thin. Thin and thick. Thin and thick. Yeah, thick and thin.
We make it through thick and thin, buddy. I should feel extremely thin privileged, correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so
You're very thin privileged.
This one is great because she said, if you can walk into any clothing store and expect to see a wide range of options in your size, you are thin. I know this is like a kind of a far out there reach, I guess, maybe, but I go suit shopping quite often. I like suits. I can never just walk into a suit store and find one in my size. And I'm a pretty average sized guy.
Right.
I wear a 36 regular.
Right.
It's very difficult for me to find a 36 regular in most suits. Am I now no longer thin privileged because of that? Am I outside of the realm of thin privilege because one of my qualifications is no longer met?
Right. And here's the weird that's I don't think she's done much research into that.
I
think all of this is from, the lefty emotional part of the brain.
Yeah. Because I guarantee you she didn't look into any of these things. She just kind of said them.
I haven't always been this size. I used to be a very strapping young man.
Hey, you are still a strapping young man.
Thank you. I'm glad you feel that way. Makes me more comfortable sitting next to you.
It should.
Whenever there used to be sales on clothes, I'm like, man, I'm going to go up there. Someone just told me there's a sale at Target or something on some, I don't know, what were horrible things that people used to wear back in the day? On polos with like the giant polo symbol on the front. Just the most horrendous thing you've ever seen. When you're a normal size person, those are the first sizes to go. When you get there for that sale, all that's left is the 3X and the 4X. That's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know where she's getting her information from.
So I'm going to move away from her because whenever I read her tweets, it just kind of it irks me.
Well, that's why you need to share one. Let everybody else share the pain with us, right? Y'all will do that with us, right? Share a little bit of the pain. Don't let us have to sleep on this all by ourselves.
Okay, I'll read the one about the clothing, and this can be the tweet that you just go to sleep thinking about. It's a good one. Thinness isn't a feeling. If other people perceive you as thin, you are thin. If you are able to walk into any clothing store and expect to see a wide range of options in your size, you are thin.
People perceive you as...
so I'm not calling you fat, but when you walk into a store... do you typically find a wide range of clothing in your size?
When I walk into the store, there's this mishmash of no telling what I'm going to find. I honestly don't know what I'm going to find when I walk into a store.
But would you say that you could find clothing in your size?
No, I usually do. Yeah. I usually always find at least a few things that it might not be the exact thing I wanted, but I'll just wait a week and come back when the new shipment comes in, or ask the lady, hey, when do you get new ones in? Tuesday? I'll come Tuesday.
But yours isn't because they don't carry it in your size. It's because your size sells out faster.
Yeah.
So it's more likely that you're going to find clothing in your size because that's the more common size to be sold, correct?
Right.
So that's great. But I'll leave you with that tweet. But I want to talk about...
Can I point out something on that real quick?
Yeah.
She just contradicted herself, because here's what she did. She said... thinness is only a creation of social constructs of the mind.
Yeah.
But it's not, because you have to have clothes
to fit into it. It's like she just
she just said it was metaphysical and physical
also,
at the same time.
I want to point out that in America, the average size is larger than what is considered healthy by doctors and whatever. So it is technically overweight. So I think the average size is extra large. I think that's the most commonly sold size.
Extra large.
So you are more likely to find larger clothing in an American store. If you walk into any American clothing store, you're more likely to find a clothing in your size if you're actually slightly overweight.
Right.
than if you're thin. So how's that thin privilege
Well,
if it applies more to overweight people?
Is she overweight? Do we know?
Yes.
Okay, well, her problem is she wants to be part of the lefty crew, and she's probably going to shops where they use the leftovers from vegans
absolutely.
to create tunics for you.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're just not creating them in 4XL, okay?
Yeah.
Because she's going to crazy lefty shops.
Yeah.
So her problem is trying to fit in with the wrong
Well,
crowd,
I will say
honestly.
she says that she's not fat, but she's not thin.
Oh,
she's
guys. So now she's
but her point in her tweets, if you read through all of her tweets, she says, I have thin privilege even though I know I'm not thin. I still have thin privilege because socially I'm thin because there are bigger people. Well, there's a show called My 600-Pound Life. So does that mean anyone under that is thin?
Right.
But anyways, I want to talk about
bigger.
what thin privilege really is.
Okay.
Because she talks about thin privilege as a social norm. The social problems of being thin. But let's talk about what thin privilege really is. You know what the real privileges of thinness are?
Fitting through small hallways.
Yes. Fitting
in subcompact cars.
The real privileges of thinness are, one, you can own a Chevy Sonic like I do.
You can do what?
You can own a Chevy Sonic like I do.
Oh, a Chevy, right. That subcompact.
That's one thing. But more importantly, you are typically healthier if you're thinner.
Right. Health, yep.
You are less likely to have type 2 diabetes.
Right.
You are less likely to have high blood pressure. You are less likely to have heart disease and strokes, certain types of cancer, sleep apnea, osteoarthritis, fatty liver disease, kidney disease, pregnancy problems such as high blood sugar during pregnancy, high blood pressure, and increased risk for cesarean delivery. You're healthier.
Right.
So that is your privilege as a thin person.
Right. But
so let's
that's
call
your
it
choice,
this,
right?
Healthy privilege.
Healthy privilege. Ooh.
Yes.
You're privileged because you're healthier than me.
Yeah. You're going to live longer.
You chose to be healthier.
Because we've decided as a society that healthy people get to live longer, and I'm not okay with that.
And here's the thing, though. Now, do you get these diseases because society thinks you're overweight or because you're actually overweight?
Oh, you didn't know that diseases are actually caused by the thoughts of people that don't like you?
Isn't it a vast universal awareness that creates your overweightness?
It's telepathic.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we knew.
Yeah.
Let the audience know. They might not know. They don't learn this kind of stuff in public school, so we just wanted to make you aware.
Am I supposed to always be sarcastic when you ask this kind of questions, or am I actually supposed to answer these questions to a relative degree of normality?
You got to figure that out.
Oh, goody.
Am I being serious or sarcastic?
Let's be 100% just literal for a second.
Okay.
If you're overweight, you're more likely to get sick.
Right.
That's just a fact.
Yeah, it's just more likely, yeah.
That's science. That's doctors. The list I just read to you is from the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Disease. I found one almost identical to it by the CDC. You are more likely to get these things, these certain diseases, if you are overweight. And I even got the list of, I know that the body mass index isn't like the most accurate scale, but that's how they determine overweight and obese.
Right.
And overweight, if your body mass index is 25 to 29.9, you are overweight. If your body mass index is 30 or higher, you are obese. That's when that's the level. If you're 25 or over, that's when you start getting to the point where these become a concern to your doctor. Right. So basically, thin privilege, just keep your BMI between 18.5 and 24.9 and you're good. That's a pretty good gap.
Right. That's the thin privilege gap.
That's the thin privilege gap. If you have a BMI
so when I go to the doctor next time,
24.9.
I'm like, do you have any I'm really trying to hit thin privilege, trying to hit that thin privilege bridge. Can you help me get there?
I really just want to make some lefty nuts really mad. Can you help me get thin, please? I want them to be mad at me because I'm healthy.
Right.
Make me live for 100 years.
All right,
so that's all I had to say about that. I just thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah, very ridiculous. The world of the left always gives us something entertaining to talk about.
Yeah, that they do.
Okay.
All right, so next you've got a
I wanted to talk about kind of the headlines that came out about Facebook earlier this week, or last week. And it's about how Facebook now, because they're under pressure from Congress, from the left especially and the Democrats on making sure their platform isn't used to abused and used by bots, hackers, Russian informants and stuff to elect right wingers and do stuff that they shouldn't do on social media. Well, the funny part is that their little task force or whatever they had to try to do this actually brought some results coming up. Yeah. So there was a story about Facebook finding out that there was illegitimate sites on Facebook that were
clearly pushing conservative values, correct?
That's what I was expecting. I clicked on the article like, oh my gosh, here we go. They're going to be saying all these Russian sites are all right leaning, trying to get Republicans elected, because what it showed that they were tied to issues about the 2018 election.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, it was quite the opposite. It was like these lefty groups that were forming to try to create celebrations and get-togethers and these things to like protest lefty or to protest anything the right was doing. There were some things about the unite the right, like anti-unite the right, and then there was like it was like the most subscribed to or most followed Black Lives Matter group on Facebook is illegitimate.
That's hilarious.
Which is hilarious, yeah. And as a person who's not on the left, I was going in thinking, oh, it's going to be another way to attack anything that's not on the left, anything middle right, I'll say.
Yeah.
And so, but when I saw it and saw it was left, unfortunately, I kind of struggled with having that same feeling of, well, yeah, of course it's lefties, right? All that stuff. There's not that many crazy people out there that support all this weird stuff. And it's all the same people jumping in the same groups. And now we see that a bunch of them are fake. And so I kind of struggle with that, because if it would have been the other way around, I would have said, it's just a couple of Russian people making something to make things crazy.
If it had the opposite effect, you would have assumed that they wrote it so that it would do that. Right. I'm actually really surprised that they wrote it so literally. They wrote it so to do its job correctly, and it backfired.
Well,
I don't know if it really backfired on them. I don't know if Facebook's goal was to shut down conservatives. I think that apparently their goal was to actually do what they did.
Hopefully, yeah. That shows that maybe their goal was or the way they're at least going about it is unbiased, which is good.
That's good.
At least there's one part of Facebook that's going to act unbiased. But for me, it made me reflect a little bit on how I look at facts and the media and stuff like that, and it kind of made me step back a little bit and try to make sure I clear my mind and be a little more unbiased. But also. Maybe feel a little better about Facebook's actions, just a little bit.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
It's great that we base half of our entire business on Facebook.
Right.
Love you, Facebook.
We don't want you to, completely bury us under the mounds of videos on Facebook.
We gave you a compliment. We were surprised, pleasantly, that you did so good at your job.
Thank you for doing.
Thank you for actually doing what you said you were going to do instead of writing a program that only shut down conservative sites.
Right. We probably just made people think that too many times and got flagged by some algorithm.
Oh yeah. Well, our last post.
Would have just don't say lizard
down.
People. Oh, and I just said it.
Dictum. Don't mention George Soros.
The only way I want to leave it with that topic is, I was surprised with Facebook. Because a little piece of me, down in me, said if Facebook did come up with any lefty ones, that they wouldn't publicize it, Yeah. And then the other part of me that was kind of surprising, and I guess since Facebook came out and said it, they had to report it, is like I was looking up this story on like CNN and other lefty sites, and they were reporting it. Now, they didn't go into anything about it. They were just like, oh, when it's something about the left, we're just going to give you the straight facts. I'm pretty sure if it would have been a right-leaning organization, there would have been 4 more. Yeah, I'm reading one paragraph.
It would have been like a 20-paragraph description on every single page.
And it would have been in the news
for a week. Got shut down and why.
It would have been the biggest story for a week.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I didn't even know this happened until you told me about it a couple of days ago.
Right.
So that shows you how publicized it was.
That's because all they did was state the facts, and they were like, all right, let's move on to what else is happening in the world.
Although I'm sure like Fox probably covered it pretty heavy. I don't really watch Fox.
I didn't look up Fox's version of it, but I just felt like, and that's just my opinion. I know it's just, we're an opinionated show over here.
I like the way you took that, though. Instead of, just cheering on the fact that a bunch of lefty sites got shut down like a lot of people would have, probably myself included, you actually took the initiative and you reflected on yourself,
I think it helped, though, because my expectations were the opposite.
Yeah.
And then when I found it out, I said,
Well, see, that
now
would have
I have to really take
that would
it
have
into
reinforced the celebration though
Right.
for most people, and
Right.
instead you took it and you said, "Hey, what does this mean about me?" And I like that.
Celebrated a little bit.
Well, yeah.
Can't
Well,
help.
you
I'm
celebrate.
human.
I
I'm
think you
human.
probably celebrated the fact that some lefty sites got shut down.
Right.
Not
well,
that.
yeah, that part.
Not
yeah.
that. Not like. Of course they did.
Right. So when it came to who was responsible, they said a maybe for Russia, and at one point, which to me felt like it might be a little stronger, one of the sites for like 16 hours, one of the people connected with the Russian internet espionage crew or whatever was actually the admin of it for 16 hours. I'm like, that feels a little bit more than a maybe.
Maybe more than
you know, that feels more like a probable.
Probably some people might even say a definite.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all to that story. I just want to say kudos in some points, Facebook for doing one thing out of 100 right. Okay, so at least one.
Good job, proud of you.
Yeah.
What's our next topic? Okay, so now this was very interesting to me. I'm going to get it in reader view so I can read it better. We're just kind of going to go over these, but one of my favorite, I'm going to sponsor someone right quick without even getting paid, man. I'm just going to shout them out.
Even do that?
Just going to give them a shout out. I don't know why I use the word sponsor because that doesn't even make sense. Because the
Are you
sponsor
gonna
is
have a
the one that
Twitter mob
pays
coming
you.
down on them?
No, this is I really like these people, all right? This is the knifemedia.com. Check it out.
Oh yeah, you told me about this.
They're the only truly bipartisan news source that I know of. And not only are they bipartisan news source, because you can find just like the basic news on there and it's just the facts, which is great because you can make your own decisions about it.
Mm-hmm.
But they also they have a separate division that you can go to on their site where they show you news stories that had spins on them from various different news sources.
Right.
And it gives you the news story as if they had written it, so it's bipartisan. And then they tell you how the other people spun it and why they did it that way and why it was wrong that they did it that way. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's
they break it down
really
for
informative
you.
for
very informative.
People who want to keep up
very
for
useful.
voting. I mean that they kind of give you a deeper look at the media, the mainstream media.
Yeah.
So you know what's coming out that's actually good and what's coming out that's fake news.
And you can find the news and make your own, like the real news, and make your own decisions on it. The only problem I found with them is that it is a smaller source than like Fox or CNN, obviously. So they can't cover as many stories, so you don't get. You can't just find a story on CNN and be like, I wonder if this has a spin on it, and go look it up on Knife Media. Unfortunately, but a lot of them are. And one thing they do is they have every week they give a list of spin words or phrases that certain news sources have used.
Okay.
And this one is from.
And you say this is a weekly thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And this one is from the week of May 21st. I found this one just especially interesting. But it's top 10 disparaging spin words in the news this week from May 21st, 2018.
Oh, that should have a
And
jingle.
I think we'll just go over some of these. There are 10 of them, obviously, from the title.
Okay.
We're not going to go over all 10 of them. We're just going to find some that we find interesting.
Okay.
And read them. I haven't even read through all of them, but so this gives you three things. It gives you the original title. It gives you the headline.
Okay, the headline. All
right. Or the quote from the story.
All right. Well, let's do one for an example. Real
okay.
quick.
So there's and it's called The Spun.
The Spun. Okay.
the Spun title or portion. And it says, quote, CNN still holds the crown as America's fake news laughingstock. And then in bold it says fake news laughingstock because that's the phrase that they're referring to.
So they actually won an award for this? Is that what I'm taking from this article? They hold the crown? The victor's crown?
They have a trophy. It's got their name engraved on it. It's this big. Man.
So I have a feeling I know what they're going to say right now after a
title
like that.
That was Breitbart that wrote that headline. This is great. The unspun version, which is the next section of the article, it just says, this is opinion. It doesn't even say this is an opinion. It just says this is opinion.
Yeah.
And then it gives you, the third section is, why does it matter? And this one explains, it says, calling CNN a laughingstock is insulting and calling it fake news is misleading if Breitbart doesn't provide evidence of CNN fabricating news stories, which it doesn't in this article. The description might encourage people to dismiss CNN coverage without evaluating it objectively, possibly deterring readers from seeking to understand a variety of viewpoints.
Right. So yeah, I see what they're saying.
It's
They're saying,
very
"Hey,
solid.
this is just a flat-out opinion. They're just trying to smash their competition media-wise, and they're giving no evidence."
Yeah.
I gotcha. See, I like that. I like this website.
I
That's
want to
pretty cool.
read the second
That's very
one.
informative.
The spin word is hypocrite.
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 How dare
So the Daily Caller wrote an article titled, or it might not actually be, I don't know if this is the headline or if it's just a line, but it says, hypocrite Dems are blocking Gina Haspel for being Trump nominated. First of all, that's not even a grammatically correct sentence. They don't mention that. But the unspun version is a bit lengthier.
Okay.
Haspel worked at the CIA during its use of enhanced interrogation techniques, EITs, which include waterboarding as one of them.
They're doing the eats to me. They got me in the eats. Sorry, that's just...
Okay. John Brennan, who served as CIA director from 2013 to 2017, worked for the intelligence agencies that also oversaw EATS.
Eats, okay.
Some Democratic senators supported Brennan for the position and now oppose Haspel's nomination. So if they had written the section or the title or whatever, honestly, it would have been lengthier, but that's what it would have been. That's how they should have stated what they were trying to state. I choked on my spit. My viewers are going to love my coughing in every single episode. Oh man. It's a character trait of mine. It's actually, I've created this persona intentionally, not because I have some health issues.
Right.
I like to cough on the show.
So are you saying that you can get ill even if you do have thin privilege?
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh, it can work that way too.
I'm actually incapable of being sick. I have to fake it.
Oh, okay.
So that, because it's like...
Because it would be
it's like when
insulting
you... Well,
to
no,
me
yeah, because it's like if you have white privilege, you have to say, I'm sorry for being white.
Right.
If you have thin privilege, you have to act like you're not thin sometimes. Like, I'm healthy, so I have to cough.
Right, yeah. Okay, makes me feel better. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to be wheezy sometimes.
And I was just fixing to say, these type of eats will get you into thin privilege too. All right, let's continue.
Anyways, I'm not going to read the why does it matter on that one because it's really long. I'm going to link this in the description. So if you want to go and read all these and why they're bad and what they are and all that kind of stuff, you can do that. I just want to go over maybe one or two more because I find this incredibly interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think if you're a person out there who's looking for a way to kind of swim through or dig through what's legitimate or not, this is a good site to use. Now, hopefully they'll grow larger and be able to cover more topics regularly. But yeah, this is for the uninformed voter to become the informed voter. This is for the person who doesn't know which news sources to trust. I like this.
Yeah,
and it doesn't. I like how it just doesn't say Breitbart's evil.
Yeah.
It's like this specific article.
Yeah.
This is what you need to know about it. So it doesn't slap CNN as just fake news. It says this one article over here is fake news. Right.
Well, it's not even always partisan either, though. Like
Right.
this one, this is a good example.
Okay.
It's number 8 on the list. It's from Vanity Fair, and it says 40-minute. I don't think this was a headline. I think this is actually part of the article. But it says 40 minutes after the press conference start time, the famously temperamental, which was the spin words, supermodel was still nowhere to be seen, referring to Naomi Campbell.
Okay.
The unspun version would be model Naomi Campbell arrived late to a press conference.
Right. So they tried to
simple.
define her.
They tried to define her as famously temperamental.
Right, right.
And why does it matter? Is of all of Campbell's traits and accomplishments, why does the outlet focus on her supposedly temperamental nature? It's an opinion rather than a fact and could hurt her reputation as a public figure.
Right.
So I really like that one. It's a good example of what Knife Media does because it's not even a partisan issue.
Right.
It's just Vanity Fair
Right.
trying to get views basically by calling her something.
Yeah, it gets you more emotional about it and have a certain thought about her, and it starts creating a narrative about her.
Exactly.
And why did she do this? Is it because her temperamental nature? So wow, that's good on them. Good on them.
It's not always partisan, but it's a good. This was another good example that I enjoyed, the number 10, and we'll move on from here. But this is also a portion of an article, not the title. I don't know. It's from AFP. I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is?
American Federation of Broadcasting. No, I don't have.
AFP.
I don't have any clue. Oh, P.
American
Farmers Progress.
Yes, that's who wrote this article.
Okay.
So the American farmers say, yet the rapper Kanye West has succeeded spectacularly in one key goal: staying at the center of attention, which is their spin words.
All right.
The unspun version. AFP reporters Sean Tandon and Thomas Urbane stated an opinion as fact that West was aiming to be the center of attention.
Right.
So the unspun version of their title would have, or the unspun portion of their article would have been, our opinion is
Kanye wants to be the center of attention.
Yes.
Right? Which is way less clickbaity.
Oh yeah.
And for some reason, why do farmers hate Jesus?
Well,
farmers
hate Kanye because, it's mostly the Eastern farmers that hate him because his name is Kanye West.
Oh,
and he's drawing so much attention to the Western farmers.
Right.
And AFP is an Eastern-based farmer association, and they don't like that all of the Western farmers are getting the attention.
So if you think he changed his name from Kanye from Sea to Shining Sea, it might
I think that there might be a better community of farmers across America.
Right. Equal subsidies.
But I don't think that Kanye should feel pressured to do something like that for the sake of an organization that has nothing to do with even his industry, you know?
I think the farmers need to pay attention. I mean, that's just not important.
I feel like they have better things to worry about, you know?
Yeah.
Anywho, why does it matter? While West is not exactly known for staying out of the public eye, AFP's description suggests it's his motivation for voicing his opinions, that it's self-serving. But the article doesn't provide evidence that West had a goal to stay at the center of attention or give an objective description of what West has done and what his results have been.
Right. I like that because they're saying, the article's saying, hey, Kanye's doing all this stuff, and they already got you from the title thinking, oh, all of this is because center of attention. Nothing in the article is, hey, he's doing this, and we can show why he wants to do it center of attention because of this proof. So that's great, yeah. I really like that.
Honestly, I know we're not really discussing this, and I don't want to sidetrack onto it too much, but I really don't think that Kanye West's goal is to be the center of attention. I really do think he's just voicing his opinions, and because they're so controversial, he tends to stay in the spotlight. By the way, AFP stands for Agence France Press. It's a French press, basically, like a French.
The French hate Kanye.
Not a French press as in coffee making device.
French farmers.
But yes, because France is east of California.
Yes, it's east of
very east.
Pretty much everywhere Kanye is, they're usually east.
There is an east of him, and typically France is in that section of the world.
All right.
So that's why they hate him. Those farmers, they just can't. I don't know why AFP is writing articles in English. Also,
maybe it was translated. I don't know. I mean, they could.
I think I went. Oh no, that was on Yahoo, I believe.
And stuff. I mean, look. I think probably other countries try to publish some of their stuff in English to get American readers.
Probably.
I mean, this is a big population.
I mean, French farmers. They care what Americans think. Is our corn good? We need to know what the Americans think. Americans know corn.
Look, our corn was designed in a lab, so it's the best.
I like corn.
Put it like that.
If I try French corn, I could give you an honest opinion on whether that corn is good or not.
If anybody has any French corn, send us some French corn and we'll let you know. We'll do an honest-to-goodness taste test.
We'll do a review.
American corn versus French corn live, but we need some.
We need to find some good American corn to compete with it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
So since we're talking about how people talk about spinning things and how they get people emotional, I just want to talk a little bit about Trump this week with his Twitter. Okay, we know Trump's Twitter.
I want to just warn everybody. I honestly have no idea what we're about to talk about. So this is going to be a first impression for me, and you're going to get to see it not live.
So for
We don't
me
go
this
live
week,
yet.
Trump's Twitter, it's pretty volatile. And like I said,
Yes, it is.
I'm not a never
I believe
Trumper.
he's just trying
I'm
to stay
not
at
an
the center of
always
attention.
Trumper. Oh, well, he is the president of the most powerful
Hey,
country in the world.
is that an excuse?
I think you're kind of forced to be center of attention. But I'm not an always Trumper. I'm not a never Trumper.
Mm-hmm.
I love good Trump. I don't like
Was
bad
that
Trump.
last episode we discussed that on, or the one before that?
Yeah, I just wanted to give him a little, just in case we have
Well,
some
I
new
just want
viewers.
to, if you want to know our views on that, it was last episode.
I think so.
If you want to know our views on how we feel about Trump and all that, go watch episode 3, and we actually discussed that in a little more length. Not a whole lot, but you'll get an understanding.
But so the thing that irritates me the most is sometimes Trump on Twitter. Not all the times. When he's like supporting veterans, when he's being patriotic without being divisive. I love that kind of Twitter stuff because it's like a good old FDR fireside chat, but on Twitter in 160 characters.
Didn't they bump it up to 280?
Did they bump up Twitter characters?
Hey guys, are the Twitter characters at 280 now, or is it still like 160?
How long? Yeah, how long? Grant, how many characters for a Twitter?
It's still 140 for
140 for everybody. Okay.
But it's 280 for people who get like
A blue check mark.
Blue check verified.
Verified. All
verified
right.
accounts have 280, so he has 280.
So Donald Trump and all the lefties have 280 characters, and the rest of us
and then like 3 conservative people who hide their conservative identities.
Right. So today he had me chuckling and then kind of perturbed a little bit with like what he's doing with the Koch brothers, just because the Koch brothers are anti-tariff. Let's face it, there's some hardcore Trump supporters, and I'm not saying y'all are wrong, but I don't like tariffs. We can look in history and see the damage tariffs are done.
Okay, look, Trump can't always be right. It's impossible to always be right. All right.
Now, last week we
Trumpers
talked.
Need to calm down a little bit.
Last week we talked, and we didn't know if we wanted to give 100% credit to Trump or not for the deals with the EU.
Yeah.
But we said there is a possibility that he is using tariffs to create better trade deals.
It's possible that he planned this.
Right, and if that's true, then I'll say Trump was a fantastic negotiator. He used hardball negotiating tactics, and I'm proud of him, and I'm glad he did it, and that's just another plus in the Trump column.
Yep.
But until then, if it doesn't result in that, tariffs have historically have always been a negative for a country's economy. And so we had the tussle with the EU. We had the tussle big time with China. I mean, every day we announce new tariffs. They announce new tariffs. I know they announced some more today, like 60 billion, maybe not billion, but a really large amount on American imported goods.
I think China is my main concern with the tariffs.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the biggest battle going. Eventually, we're going to be tariffed out of even trading with each other unless they come to the table, which maybe this is what's going to happen. But he wants to go after the Koch brothers because the Koch brothers were saying, hey, when you're doing all this, it's bad for foreign workers too. And he's like, pretty much it sounded like Trump was like, you better believe it, it's bad for the foreign workers because it's good for American workers or something like that. That's what it felt like.
If it's bad for them, it's good for us.
Right, yeah, that's kind of the way, instead of looking at a more, total
logic.
economic view, it was very simple and very, if it's bad for them, it's good for us. So,
hey, man, that's logical.
That's logic. Simple Trump logic.
Bad
for them, good for us.
Exactly.
Trump.
If it's bad
America,
for them, it's good for us.
Cheeseburgers. But on
it's bad for thin. Wait.
Yeah, thin privilege.
It's bad for thin people, so it's good for us. Eat all the burgers, eat all the pizza.
So my thing with that is how he's going out and attacking the Koch brothers, and he did it almost every day last week. Maybe not every day, but from the beginning of the week to the end of the week, there was still news about his tweets to the Koch brothers. And then the Republican Party started jumping onto it as well. And I think the Koch brothers, you may not agree with everything. I don't agree with their immigration policy because they're more libertarian than they are conservative. But do you get elected on smiles? Do you get elected on just saying, I'm for lower taxes, vote for me, Harry, your state representative? No.
We used to.
Used to, maybe, but how do you get elected? With the dollar bills, yo. Okay? And so the Koch brothers have funneled, because they're worth I think $80 billion or something like that. I think that's what I heard. Between 60 and 100. I'm hearing yes on 80. Okay, so a lot of their money has gone to funding things that help get Republicans elected, or help spread conservative, libertarian messages, which is like a big cultural impact comes from them. I know some people, you're going to say, well, that's despicable. Giant corporate rich people and their corporations shouldn't be able to do that with their money. Well, it's America.
Wait,
you shouldn't tell people
are
what
you
they can do
saying
with their
that
money.
rich people want policy that makes them not be poor?
Well, yeah, that's one. But their policies also very productive for. I mean, they would agree with the tax breaks that happen. Yeah, that's part of that libertarian policy, which was good for everyone. And so I think it's dangerous to start attacking them, even though I think they're mature and well-rounded enough to say brush it off and continue to do what they do. But the Koch brothers are really important to combat all the rich lefty elitists out there who throw their money for leftist ideology. We have at least there's some money on the from middle to right, and especially on the libertarian side, to start funding things. I mean, the Koch brothers, because of their libertarian stance, are very pro Bill of Rights. I mean, that's the things they support of and try to spread awareness of.
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of dangerous for him to start creating a war between the party that closest resembles the Koch brothers, except on immigration. But everything else, that's why they usually support Republican candidates, because they're like, well, the Democrats and the left are completely against all types of libertarian American values.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't, so I just think it's kind of dangerous for him to be picking that battle. And I hope he kind of drops it quicker rather than later before any kind of relationship damage is done.
You shouldn't have, you don't need to worry about that. Don't you know Trump? He loves to just drop topics and not
come back to the next one.
He just likes to. He doesn't hold on to things, man.
Right. Well,
he doesn't tweet about the same thing 500 times.
And that was my thing, is I really wasn't worried about it until representatives from like the RNC were talking about it too. And I'm like, guys, just, you don't have to. And I'm to the point now where it feels like people do these things to suck up to Trump, so Trump knows they exist. So when he fires the next person, because it's going to happen, all right, that they'll be the one that'll be on the list to get the job. I'm sorry, I may sound kind of negative and slanderous against Trump, but I feel like that's why people do these things, because there's no reason for the RNC or anyone who's part of the RNC to say, oh, let's go against and slam some of our biggest donors and supporters of real American values. So that's just one of the tweet things I've had a problem with.
You'd think they'd know what they were talking about too, so you shouldn't really argue with them.
Right.
Shouldn't be slamming them. The Koch brothers know business.
Right.
They're worth $80 billion.
Right, exactly right.
They know how to. They know how to run a business.
Right, and they're pro free
I
trade.
will point out Trump is worth $30 billion.
I don't know that. Anybody else?
Or is it like
can
3?
Give us thumbs up on that.
10.
10.
Somewhere around 10.
Okay.
Either way, it's not 80.
Right, it's not 80.
And he went bankrupt a couple times.
Right. Yeah.
And his companies are far less, worker based than.
Right. But we're not slamming Trump.
I'm not slamming Trump either. I'm just saying.
We're just saying that
if
other people have, or other successful people
I'm
have.
getting $4.5 billion.
$4.5 billion. Okay, and
That's
I
it?
think I heard that
I
it
mean,
did.
I say that's it like it's not a lot of money. But
Only $4 billion.
only
Man,
$4
that's
billion,
chump
man.
change.
Nothing.
That's only 2 islands.
Well, when you compare it to $80 billion.
Right. Well, yeah, but
To be fair, though,
I don't know. I think we're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
with
we
that
are.
Because I think
that's
successful
completely
people
irrelevant.
have valuable input
It's
into a
completely
lot
irrelevant.
of things.
My point in the fact was that the point in the matter, whatever. My point was that the Koch brothers aren't just saying this willy-nilly. They know what they're talking about.
And it's not that they're being anti-Trump
No,
either, which I think that's
and
the way
they
he
didn't
feels.
say- I don't think-
They've always been this way. They've always had these beliefs.
Like I said, this is all fresh to me, so I don't know. But the way you said that they spoke, it doesn't sound like they were like, "Hey, Trump, you're a moron. Don't do this." It sounded like they were voicing a concern.
No, and it was very
this isn't
businesslike.
great.
It wasn't an
This
attack.
isn't great for foreign workers.
It was like one of those. We'll have to look it up. Grant, see if you can find what the Koch brothers wrote that made Trump upset. Because it was more like, we believe that these policies might not have, they have a negative effect on the foreign worker and free trade. It was very polite, businesslike.
It wasn't like
an attack.
calling out Trump.
Yeah, it wasn't like, Trump,
Yeah.
you idiot. You're going to destroy the world economy. How dare you?
Yeah, and it just seems to me like they would know what they're talking about to an extent.
That's their
They
business.
would have insight on that matter.
Right, and I think their business is in natural gas, I think. So, anything within a natural resource like that is going to be huge.
They're gonna have
global and huge.
understanding.
Right. Yep. So second thing for Grant, let me know if you find it, but I'm going to move on to one more thing about Trump. And that was his reaction, and why did he even need to have a reaction on 3D printed guns? Like, I love how he was just like super confused about what it was. It seemed like from his tweets. And then he was like, I talked to the NRA today. Doesn't make sense or whatever. It's like, what does that even mean, Trump? Doesn't make any sense or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. But
Wait,
it's
so
like,
I don't,
as a Second Amendment
again, this is
supporter.
something I haven't seen.
Okay, well, that's all you need.
What's his view on the 3D printed
It doesn't make
guns?
sense.
Which part?
That's all he said. He said, I spoke with the NRA today about it. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm
like,
so confused.
do you not understand how they're made?
I'm so
Do you not
confused.
understand, like, if they're
Does
really
it not
guns or
make-
not?
yeah.
That's the thing is what's confusing, and so people are going to take it different ways.
Yeah.
As a person who 100% supports the Second Amendment, even stronger than what the laws are now. I mean, I really think a lot of the laws we have now should be pushed back because I'm a dead set supporter of the Second Amendment.
Same.
When he says something like that, it makes me think like it doesn't make sense that we should be able to do it or something like, you see what I'm saying? That people should have that right. Now, that isn't necessarily what he meant.
We don't know what he meant.
But that's all he
I'm
posted.
very clearly
Right.
confused.
Which
I
shows
have
that
no idea what he was saying.
some of the things that have to do with his Twitter talks, we can see it and think we interpreted it right, but someone else could have interpreted it completely different. That feels really weird saying interpreted it.
Interpreted
Okay,
it.
I did add an extra syllable
Interpreted
that time.
it. Interpreted it.
And that's the thing is, and because he talked about it and there's an uproar and they're like, oh, people can sneak these guns through metal detectors and anywhere they want to and create terrorism. Well, no.
Yeah.
Because if you make a gun that isn't detectable by...
It won't work.
Yeah. It's illegal.
Well,
it's
it
illegal
also-
to make them undetectable to
It's
metal
also,
detectors.
I mean, they might be able to create some kind of weird. I don't know what you could do. You can't create a gun that fires properly
Without any
normal
metal
rounds.
parts, right.
Well, you have to have a firing pin first of all,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
which is made of metal.
Right. You probably could
And there are
create
other
a gun
metal
that could
parts.
shoot
Like,
one
there's
bullet.
you have to have certain springs in
Right.
there. I don't know if those would detect in a metal detector.
Well,
I
that's what I'm
assume so.
saying. I don't know the science behind it, but what I've heard, what I've read is that even 3D printed guns, there's usually two metallic pieces to your 3D printed gun. So, I mean,
Basically,
my thing is, I wish he could have said something a little bit more.
Well, he could have made his opinion actually clear.
Right, yeah. It said it doesn't make... That was
It was
just
a very
because
vague
when I read it in
statement.
my mind, too, I just see him go, doesn't make any sense. And it's just like, you know...
It's a very vague statement.
Right.
I'm very confused by it.
So I'm not as hard on him with that one like I am with the Coke thing because it's just Trump being Trump.
Yeah.
But it just sent a lot of confusion and worry.
I don't think Trump is too much of a risk on our Second Amendment rights.
Right. I mean, remember when he had the Dems sitting at the table and he was like, "Well, wait, take people's guns before giving them before giving them a right to go before a court order and all this." I mean, they were like, you could see the Dems over there. I remember their faces. They were like, "Oh, yes, Mr. President, that is amazing." But he came and walked back everything the next day. But did you remember that press conference?
No.
He was legitimately sitting there having a press conference. I'm pretty sure it was live. He had Dems there with him. He had some NRA representatives. Republicans were there. And then they would say like, well, Mr. President, do you think that this was after one of the school shootings, that maybe we could take guns away from people and then they can go before the court to see if and he's like, sure. And they're like, oh, yes, Mr. President. And I can't remember all the details, so I'll say things. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit. They're like, well, Mr. President, can you make it to where only magazines of guns only hold 3 bullets? He's like, oh, that seems reasonable. Yeah. I mean, he was just agreeing to all this insane leftist ideas on Second Amendment rights.
Do you really think he's going to do something to...
Well, no, because Trump is Trump. He's like the cultural centerpiece of his administration. But Trump's administration...
Isn't going to let that happen?
Is the one, I mean, his administration's great. I'll just point you that way. Except for the tariffs, which not everybody's going to agree. Most of his policy maybe not always reflects what he says, which it does sometimes, but his administration gets stuff done, and they get stuff done in the right way, and they do things that are very pro-conservative, pro-libertarian in some regards. So,
Well,
yeah, his policy's fantastic.
Definitely shrinking government to an extent.
Yeah, shrinking the government. So that's why, and I'm going to say this, like I said, not always, not an ever-Trumper. Not either one. I like the good things. I don't like the bad things.
We make our decisions
When I hear Trump
based on
tweet,
what we hear.
okay, when I hear Trump tweet, when I hear it
You
tweet.
hear it? Do you
Yeah.
get a notification?
I make
You have the bell icon selected for.
I make
Trump's
a reading
tweeting.
app read it to me. Trump's head
Why don't you just
doesn't make any sense.
I
But
just get Donald to call me, and
oh yeah, you are best friends.
We're
with
best
him, I
friends.
forgot. That's cool that y'all can be best friends, even though
and
you
I'm
disagree
still
with him
and
sometimes.
I still I like to keep it bipartisan still to an extent. I like to take his issues into consideration, even though we're best bros and we hang out all the time.
Still got to keep the facts.
We haven't been able to
facts.
hang out. We haven't been able to hang out very much since he became president, though,
Right.
because
Well, it's a busy.
he's not
it's a busy
he's not like Barack Obama that went to the golf course so many times. Apparently, I can't remember how many times. It was a large number. I remember that. But Donald's always working, so we haven't gone golfing in a while. But
right. He likes the TV a little bit though, but you know. He likes to see what people are saying about him. But yeah, to end that with the Twitter, I'm not saying this is how you have to feel about it. When I see Trump tweets, laugh at a lot of them.
Yeah.
I get concerned about just a few, like that one. I was kind of like, what do you mean? Don't make any sense. And the only reason I was concerned with that one is because he did that weird little gun thing with the Dems that time that got me nervous. But then the next day he was like, I never said any of those things. No, he didn't say that, but he pretty much walked back everything. And so I felt fine. And then that was one of the things that made me realize when Trump's out there doing his show, which I kind of feel like it is, when he's out there on Twitter and when he's doing those things, I like the patriotic stuff. It's good, but he's not always thinking policy when he's talking. He's thinking about putting a message out there and getting people to talk about it, making sure what he's doing is in, like the American people know what he's doing. Because honestly, the American people probably wouldn't know much about him other than his tweets and like he likes to do rallies and stuff because the media just slams him all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying everything he does is bad when he on Twitter and stuff when he does the tweets. But because I like to listen, I like to look at him and know Trump could say one thing, but his administration and the policy could be something completely different.
Yeah.
And that's the way it has been. Anytime Trump's been a little bit left of where I wanted him to be on a tweet or something he said out loud, his policy has never reflected that. So it doesn't really make me nervous too much. Just that one little thing.
Yeah. I don't think we have any risk of losing our Second Amendment during Trump's regime.
Oh, well, since we've been talking about social media stuff a lot. So on Twitter, there was this big kind of campaign going around. And you told me you hadn't even heard about it till I told you about it. That Ruth Bader Ginsburg. How fast? Can I do it slow?
Can you say it 5 times fast? Don't try.
Okay, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay, she's the oldest member on the Supreme Court right now. She's on the left. She's had health problems before.
How old is she? Do you remember?
Hey, Grant, can you find out how old Ruth Bader Ginsburg
is?
On that. 79? 89?
Oh, I think the average retirement age is 80.
Oh, goodness. Well, look it up first, Grant, and double check.
I think the average retirement age is around 80. 85? She's 85?
85. Wow.
She's 85.
And that's what people have heard her say. I'm pretty sure she told, maybe it was a media agency. I saw it somewhere that she said she had some years left, 5 more years left in her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if Trump didn't win in 2020,
yeah,
it would be a Democrat in there when she retired. I'm pretty sure she would get that going really quick so she could enjoy the rest of her life because she's so old.
What rest of her
life? Burn.
Those 5 years are the rest of her life.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Well, that's what people are worried about is
that she is
either pushing the limit on how long someone lives.
Yeah.
So what people are worried about is since she's had health problems, if she needs, now these are people on Twitter, okay? These are leftists, okay? We'll remind you we're talking about leftists. So all logic, normalcy.
Yeah, logic is not
out the window, okay? So these people
consider logic when you say things?
There was a big Twitter kind of campaign, if you would say, of lefties saying, like there was like a hashtag for donating organs to RBG as her initials. So like there was people legitimately tweeting saying, is there a way that I can set up my donor's card to say only go to Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Like when I die, my organs are only available for Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Would it be possible for me to actually remove my heart for Ruth Bader Ginsburg and still live?
Well, you're not far off from the left. Let's see. There was one guy who tweeted,
I will live in an iron lung. take my lungs and give them to Ruth
As
Bader.
long
They're
as
not very
Ruthie can
good.
stay on the court.
They're not very good, but she's 85. I imagine they're better than hers.
So, there was one Twitter user that was like, I will literally donate my organs while I'm still alive to Ruth Bader Ginsburg if it ever happens that she needs them.
You're really good at saying her name.
I'm getting better at it? Okay.
No, you messed it up.
Okay, RBG. And now I'm going to call her RG3 like the football
red, blue,
player. RBG, yeah, RBG. So, and a lot of these people, I read through like a dozen and none of them sound like they were joking. Like it was like killing babies and taking away free speech is more important than me staying alive for my organs.
Well, why don't they just... I mean, if you're willing to kill a baby, just go ahead and
Right, yeah.
kill someone else and take their organs.
Right. So I just wanted to point that out because...
Should there be a program where we take inmates and just remove their organs for Ruth Bader Ginsburg
Oh,
until...
the RBG
inmate
donation...
organ donation.
Yeah. We need to ask somebody about that. Somebody write that down for us. That's something we got to find out. Maybe we can keep her alive.
We can keep her alive forever, man.
Forever.
When one heart starts giving out, we just take an inmate. There you go.
Oh, I have it.
Remove it.
There's always an inmate with 2 bodyguards with her at all times.
Yeah.
And so
when
if
she
anything
starts to
happens
collapse,
right there.
boom, spare parts.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about heart, lungs, kidney, anything she needs.
Yep.
Well, I think we can keep her ticking for a long time.
Oh, eternity.
And I mean, and then if her brain goes out,
Brain transplant.
what's the difference between a lefty judge and a criminal, a convict's brain? Just swap it in there. Oh gosh, that was so bad. Okay. All right,
Well,
all right.
They both believe in killing people.
Yeah, there you go. Just switch. Oh gosh. Okay, let's move on, please. So you had something else.
Oh, we wouldn't want to say anything that would get us in bad light with the left. We wouldn't want the left to hate us.
Okay.
Man, the left isn't gonna like us very much after that one statement, and not any other that we've ever made.
Okay, so let's talk about your next topic, which is, oh gosh, we're still going after Trump a little bit today. Really, guys, we like him.
No,
but
okay, so this is gonna sound like it's an attack on Trump at first,
Right.
and it kind of is a little bit, but
Right.
it has a point in the end. It's not so much that way. So Trump has never been grocery shopping in his life. I can guarantee it. And you want to know how I know? I'm sorry. No, I didn't say that. Beep.
Beardless.
I want you to beep. I want you to literally bleep out his name when I say that.
That would be good.
Okay, so Beardless, you want to know how? You want to know how I know that he's never been grocery shopping?
Okay.
So he was talking at a rally. You know, he said he likes to give rallies.
Oh yeah, I do enjoy his rallies.
His
I
rallies are
usually
fun.
like the stuff he says at his rallies more than his Twitter.
Well, probably because he's never mind. So he was at a rally recently, and he was discussing voter ID registration.
Okay.
So we're gonna get back to that because that's the point I want to make at the end. But one of the things he said that got so much heat from the left. I mean, there were like 8 CNN articles that I saw about this one topic.
Right.
He erroneously said that when you go grocery shopping, it's required by law that you show an ID with their picture, and it's an ID. Now, I honestly think that when he said that, he was probably thinking like when you buy certain things, because that is true.
Maybe like
if you buy
right.
medication or alcohol or
Right,
cigarettes, you have to
cigarette.
show an ID. He might have been thinking about that, but he didn't say that. He said when you go grocery shopping, you have to show an ID. This is not true.
It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, I went grocery shopping today. Didn't show my ID. I don't know if I
that's
broke the law.
strange.
I don't know if I got away with something here. I don't know if my store is like crazy.
I think we're going to have to give a citation to that clerk who rung you up today.
It's possible. I'm gonna have to call the cops and let them know.
Turn yourself in, JC.
Turn
It's the
myself
only
in.
right thing
I
to
did
do.
not show my ID. But so the point he was trying to make is that it's harder to purchase certain products than it is to vote in this country. You don't even have to have voter
Right.
ID. You can vote without an ID.
Right, in some states.
But in some states, and in those same states, you can't even buy cigarettes without
right,
an ID.
right.
Why is it easier for you to have a say on the government's policies than to destroy your own lungs? Smoke cigarettes.
Right.
So the point, I think he was making a valid point. He just didn't make it very well because
Right.
he made a very ignorant
Right.
statement
What's the
that made
same
him
with
look
the
like an
3D
idiot.
printed gun? Yeah, like
Yeah.
we didn't know what his real intention of his statement was, like with the one you just gave, unless he really has never been grocery shopping in his life.
His parents were rich.
Yes.
He was rich.
Yes.
He's a multi-billionaire.
Yes.
Do you
His
really
wife
think?
was rich. His daughter's rich. Son-in-law's rich.
Do you think he's ever been grocery
Son
shopping?
is rich.
Do you think he's
Grandson's
ever
rich.
been in a Walmart? Because I honestly would doubt that he's ever been in a Walmart,
The only thing that makes me think
unless it was like a press thing.
and I know you don't. I know this is kind of detached, but I know he loves McDonald's a lot.
Yeah, but you don't have to grocery shop to go to McDonald's.
Yeah, I know, but you just see a
can
guy
like
eat
cheap
McDonald's,
things.
you just know he's been to Walmart once.
I don't know, man.
But I say it's still a low percent chance. I'd say it's very low percent chance.
Even if he
he's been to
has ever
Walmart.
been to a Walmart, he wasn't the one shopping.
Right. No.
And he definitely didn't buy anything.
Now,
and
do
he
you
didn't
think
check
he
out.
rode around on one of them little carts the whole time
If he went, I sure hope he did.
and like bump into everything?
And he didn't even care.
Trash shelves.
And he didn't even
Accidentally
care.
on purpose.
And then he would and then he would just look at Walmart employees and say, "You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired."
But
And then they would
agree with
leave
you.
and go home because it
right.
was Trump telling them they're fired, and it's just
Right.
valid. He can go anywhere and fire anyone, honestly.
Right. I think both of the outcomes of that, was it a tweet that he made?
No, it was
It was
he
a
said it
statement
live
he made
at
at
a
the rally. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could go either way, honestly. He could have no idea how a grocery store works.
Or he could have meant.
Or he could have meant. I think it could go either way.
I honestly,
okay, but here's
I
the thing,
really do think that he just didn't know. I really, the way
which
he
makes
said
it funnier. That is
yes,
the funnier
it
outcome.
makes it hilarious.
That's what I'm gonna believe in my head.
I'm going to
because
stick
that
with it
makes
because
me
that,
happy.
yes, it makes me smile. I want to believe that. I'm going to believe it.
That
he
right-
didn't know.
When I lay down tonight, I will think of thin privileged woman first, but immediately I'll think of I've never been to a grocery store Trump, and it will cancel it out. And I will sleep like a baby because that's some smiling sleep right there. And I want to have a dream about Trump going to a grocery store for the first time, showing his ID to
they're gonna
everyone
be
while
like-
he's walking
they're
around.
gonna be like, "What
Look,
are you doing?"
I'm allowed here. I'm an American citizen. I'm not illegal. I can be here.
I could buy these groceries. These groceries are mine. I can put them in my cart. I can get in my car. I'm sorry, helicopter.
But I agree. I think it's hilarious. So I'm going to agree the first one. I'm going to agree with you.
Also, I think it's weird that you're saying that right before you go to bed, you're going to think of Trump. But okay, whatever.
Like I said, I like the guy. I love him a lot. I like thinking of him. He makes me laugh. He makes me smile. And I like the patriotic things he does. Those makes me smile too.
I do enjoy the patriotic things.
Yes, very much. We've had an absence of that for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
As a person who was a kid during Reagan, a young kid, but a kid during Reagan, I
See-
saw American flags on TV
Yeah.
and unity
okay, you
and
mentioned the American
everybody
flag.
accepting and we're all Americans. That's what I grew up with. Not
Yeah.
this trash we got today where we're all oppressing each other. I grew up under patriotic, unifying messages. So
Unfortunately, I'm a 90s kid.
right.
But I love Reagan, obviously.
Uh-huh.
I have a close friend from California that is a huge, probably the biggest Reagan fan I've ever known.
Now, is he huge or is he huge?
Huge.
Okay, just making sure.
It's huge. But
He's
she's
huge.
a massive Reagan fan. And
Now, is she massive or is that
no,
describing the fandom?
she's definitely got thin privilege.
Okay, she's thin privileged but still likes Reagan. Okay.
But she loves Reagan, and I've always liked Reagan, but whenever we hung out for the first time or whatever, and that's basically all she talked about. Not really. I don't mean to insult you. I didn't mean it like that. But she likes Reagan a lot, and she kind of got me into it, and I've read some documentaries. I've read documentaries, biographies. I've read some biographies.
Turn subtitles
since
on.
then, and
You're reading
and,
a documentary.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Turn the sound off. Turn the subtitles on. It's like reading a biography, but shorter. But I've read some biographies since then, and I really wish I could have lived during the era of Reagan.
Right.
That just the American pride that existed at the time. Now, if you have an American flag, this is a sign
Of oppression.
that you are far right,
Right.
and that you're racist, you're white privileged, you can't be a patriot anymore.
Right. Yep. Because
This
the left
is
has
a
said
symbol of Trump.
Right. The left has said anything that's patriotic is a symbol of 150-year oppression.
Yeah, which is
Which
ridiculous.
is no, it's not. America's way more than slavery, mistreated immigrants. Yes, that stuff happened. Yes, we learned for it. Yes, we changed our ways. But that's not who we are anymore. I mean, you have to remember your past so you don't repeat it. But being patriotic is about being patriotic for me is honoring the people who died to give us freedom.
Yes,
and honoring the Constitution and the Bill of
there
Rights.
There is no perfect history for anyone. No one has a perfect history
either.
for any country, any individual even.
Right,
Like no
right.
one, you can't expect if one individual person can't live a life without making stupid mistakes. How is a country going to do it, which is made up of hundreds
Right.
of millions of people?
Even a planet.
Even
when the
planet.
Gargamex come and visit us one day. The Gargamex did not have a perfect history or past, okay? They probably had their wars, their
Now, do you
racism.
think that we're going to win
Well,
against the Gargamex?
No, I don't think the Gargamex are going to fight us.
Oh, you don't think so?
But the left will come out and be like, the Gargamex oppressed the trigendered Fliglomites.
Now, are
2,000 years ago.
Are these the lefty Gargamite saying this?
No,
or
it's
these,
our lefties.
Our lefties.
Gargamex have already solved their issues.
What are Gargamex?
That's okay. If
What's
you don't
that
know,
from?
you don't know. Okay.
Is that from
continue.
something?
No.
Am I ignorant?
If you don't know about your overlords, that's you. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Continue.
I thought George Soros was the overlord. But anyways, I wish I could have lived during the Reagan era when patriotism was actually a good thing, when it was a respectable thing. Being a patriot was a compliment.
Right. Yeah.
It's no longer a compliment.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, because when you saw someone was patriotic, you felt like they honored the Constitution, they honored the spirit of the founders, they honored the military, they honored your personal space, they honored your private property, and those are all the things that went along with it.
Here's the thing. It still means that.
Right.
But now those are bad things.
Yeah. Private property, you shouldn't own that. We all should own that.
It should be all of ours.
Like, I live on like an acre.
Respecting-
Good luck. Try to share that with everybody.
Respecting the military, those are killers.
Yeah.
Those aren't good people. They kill people.
Yeah. It's not because they took orders or anything.
No. And it's not because those people, tried to kill them or did terrible things.
Right.
No.
Well, you know what? I think it's time for our favorite weekly segment.
Our favorite segment.
Yeah.
Which segment would that be, Russ?
Let's tell them about it.
We just need a countdown is all we need, man.
Yeah, countdown, Dean, please.
Extremely late movie reviews. That was so bad. So we're gonna get that one.
And
day.
I think I said Ruby. I said Ruby reviews.
Ruby reviews. I think we're gonna get to a point where we can do that without a countdown and without a pause and without messing it up entirely. But you get the point. We're doing an extremely late movie review.
Okay.
What movie are we gonna review today?
So at your behest, you got me. I've been giving too many 5-star reviews. Okay,
It's true.
I'm losing credibility. I'm losing the
give everyone
credibility
5
of
stars.
JC and the Beardless show. So today we're going to give the people what they really wanted.
Oh, crappy movie.
Crappy movie. And what
Yes.
would that crappy movie be, JC?
Oh, it is a classic crappy movie.
Oh, a classic crap.
Classic crap.
Okay, tell me what it is.
You're really good at words. Scooby-Doo, the live-action movie. Oh, man.
Delicious.
It was deliciously bad.
Yeah, deliciously bad.
I
yeah.
tried to rewatch it again recently. I watched it as a kid. When I was a
Uh-huh.
kid, honestly, I think I remember kind of enjoying it.
Right.
But I was ignorant. And now I tried to watch it again recently, and I got maybe like 20 minutes in. And I couldn't
You
finish
just
it.
couldn't handle it
No.
anymore. No, right.
But I remember enough of it to remember why it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go over a list of those things.
Okay.
The graphics.
Pretty
They're
bad.
terrible. They have these spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler
There you
alert.
go,
If you haven't
spoiler
seen
alert.
it, you know what? Don't watch it. Just do not.
You know
I mean,
what?
this is
We
a
shouldn't
spoiler
even.
alert,
We
but
shouldn't.
don't watch
The
it.
spoiler alert
No.
is almost irrelevant because if you watch, you're not going to be able to watch it.
Right.
You're going to watch 5 minutes of it and say, "Good Lord, get this garbage out of my face."
Right. Right.
So, there's these really, really poorly animated monsters,
Okay. Yeah.
creepy ghoul-like.
Scooby-Doo isn't that well animated himself.
Scooby-Doo's not very well animated. The person that played his voice, I don't want to insult
Oh,
anyone,
my
but it was
goodness.
terrible.
Right.
It didn't sound like the Scooby-Doo of my
Right.
childhood at all.
Yep.
Luckily, I'm good at separating, you know, like I can still love the old cartoons that I grew up on even after having seen this, whereas some people it would have ruined the Scooby-Doo
Right.
franchise
Yeah,
for them.
it didn't ruin the cartoon.
It didn't
for
ruin
me,
the
no.
franchise for me
No.
because the original cartoons were just so good.
Right.
But
yeah.
they ruined this movie for sure. It ruined some careers, I believe.
Right. Well, that's my problem with the movie. It like single-handedly destroyed the careers of a lot of above-average actors.
Like 3 or 4 of them.
Right. For me, it feels like we were talking about it because we were talking about who was in it, and you're like, oh wow, all these people were in this movie.
Yeah.
And what was it? 2002? When was it? What year was it? 2005?
Hey,
what year
did this movie come out?
What year
Scooby.
was
The
Scooby-Doo
first
live action?
Scooby-Doo.
First Scooby-Doo live action.
Not Scooby-Doo 2. That one was even worse.
And we got on the topic of Freddie Prinze Jr. And we're like, yeah. And then after that, it was like Freddie Prinze Jr. Like his career, which wasn't the most fantastic career of all time.
2002 is when it came out.
2002. It wasn't the greatest career of all time, but Freddie Prinze Jr. for a while, it was like Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah,
you know?
he was in some pretty good movies.
Yeah, and then like I know the one I remember, like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah,
you were talking
he
me
was
about
in
that.
that
I
one.
remember. After that movie, career slaughtered. Okay?
Oh yeah, he didn't. I don't remember
It was
anything.
the
that he did
death
after
of
that.
Freddie
Nothing worth
Prinze
watching. I think
Jr.'s
he did
career.
some like
he was
he
an
guest
extra.
starred in a couple
He
of
guest
things.
starred in Psych, which he
Yeah.
was good in Psych. And then when you watch it, you're like, man,
Why is he
I
not
miss
in
Freddie
things?
Prinze Jr.
Oh yeah, he was in Scooby Doo.
Yeah, and I wondered because I like Psych. I rewatch it quite
I love
often.
Psych.
It's weird.
Psych is one of the
But
greatest
Psych
shows.
is one of the great. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
It is one of the greatest shows
Yeah,
ever made.
yeah,
This
it
is not
really
what
is.
we're reviewing. Let's continue
No, we're
with
not
Scooby
reviewing.
Doo.
But like now, and I always wondered what happened to him when I watched Psych because I'm like, man, I still like him. He looks the same too. Scooby Doo did
You
it.
can't. And the problem is, if you've seen Scooby Doo, you can't see him as not Freddy
Right.
in anything else. So that's why it ruined him.
Right. And it's like because the way they got the actors, that everything was like over the top bad on
Oh,
purpose. It was
It
like
ha-
they were like, do your worst acting job ever on purpose.
It had to be intentional. I mean, it was terrible.
Right.
And the plot was terrible of the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
the plot. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and ruin the
Right.
whole thing.
We
for
already
anyone
said
out there, 'cause like I
spoiler
said,
alert.
don't watch it. Just please don't.
Yeah.
But Scrappy Doo, the dog. If you remember his cousin in some of the older cartoons, there's not the beginning. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. But Scrappy Doo, his cousin, he gets mad because they kick him out of the gang. At this point, he's no longer a puppy. He's still small, but
Right.
he's like an adult dog, and they kick him out of the gang because he is just annoying, and he gets mad. So he plots his revenge, creates Spooky Island, which becomes a world-renowned phenomenon. And instead of leaving it there and being a rich multi-millionaire, he decides to use this as a lure to get.
How is he not a Trump advisor yet? I mean, that's
a good
pretty
point.
impressive. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think
continue.
it's because he got fooled before Trump,
Oh, okay.
in 2002. But he lures them onto the island to solve a mystery, and then in the end, he is the one creating mayhem, and he tries to kill them all.
Yeah. That's,
It doesn't work. He steals their souls for a little bit.
oh, that's
They
great.
bounce around a little bit.
Wait, and he's doing all this why again? Because he couldn't be
He's
part
angry,
of the mystery crew anymore?
He got kicked out because he peed on Daphne. So they kick him out of the gang, and he gets mad.
This is a disturbing movie.
Yes.
Kids, what should
It's also
you do
very
if your
poorly
friends
made.
don't want to hang out with you anymore? Take them to an island and steal their souls. Like, no.
Oh, that's not what you teach your children?
No, we usually try to stay away from soul stealing, murder,
Oh, that's like my big two.
Schedule 3 drugs. Is that the bad ones, or is it Schedule 1 drug? Okay, continue.
I don't know how that scale works.
Okay, go with it.
Regardless, those are what I teach my children to actively engage in.
Right.
I don't have children or a wife, so I'm not even close to that. So, anyways,
All you single ladies.
the movie's
all you single
no.
ladies. Okay.
Anyways, the movie's terrible.
Uh-huh.
I give it 0.3 stars.
3.
The only-
I didn't know if we could go less than 1. I was going to give it 1 because I didn't know if we went to 0.
You can.
Okay, I'll
Um,
just give it 1 because the cast is awesome.
The cast is good. That's why I gave it
before
0.3.
it destroyed their career. Like
Yeah.
the first 5 minutes, you're like, oh, this cast is amazing.
There are like 2 moments in the movie where the dialogue is funny enough that you kind of forget, almost, sort of, that you're watching one of the worst movies ever made.
Right.
But that only happens like twice, and
Right.
it lasts like 3 seconds.
And like you pointed out earlier,
So that's why it
it's
gets
the most
0.3.
annoying belching farting scene
Oh,
of any
yes.
movie ever.
I gotta explain that. The best scene, the best worst scene ever is in this movie.
Right.
So if you do watch this movie, only watch it for this one sole purpose to
You
find
can probably
the scene.
YouTube that clip.
You probably
honestly.
can. I don't know. I didn't try. I watched far enough into it to get to this point. It's the only thing that made it somewhat worthwhile.
Right.
Is the scene where Scooby and Shaggy have a belching/farting competition.
After eating plastic
after
sausages.
having eaten plastic sausages.
Not even real ones.
That attacked them and tried to kill them. So don't watch it, but if you want to see that scene, watch it enough to see that, and then please turn it off.
It's not funny.
It's
It's cringy.
You don't want to watch it. You don't.
100%.
It's not good. It's
Right.
not even. It's so bad. I feel like they were trying to make it bad funny, but they crossed the line into just bad.
Right.
Just not good.
Right. So if we average our 2 scores together, it gets about a 0.6.
Yeah.
A 0.7.
0.7.
Somewhere in there. 0.6. We'll say 0.6 for Scooby-Doo. There you go. Now,
There you go.
it's not all 5-star reviews
All
for
right,
me.
can we go back to our 5
I do
stars
hate
now?
some movies, okay?
Can we go back to reviewing
Yeah,
good
I would
movies
like
now?
to review another 5-star.
We're going to review
next
some more
time.
good movies
Yeah.
now.
Maybe not 5.
Every
but
now and then we'll come back to some crappy ones.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of JCN. What is that? What's going on? Dude, what's that?
That's our handles. That's where
Dude,
people can follow
that's
us.
our handles?
Yeah.
Dude, you get to Twitter, Instagram,
Yeah, and
Facebook.
Patreon if they
you
want to
can
support
donate
the
at
show.
Patreon.
Help us upgrade a little bit.
Man,
Oh gosh, it's getting kind of tight.
it's getting real small in here.
What's that up there?
Hey, that's our last video that we posted. You can,
And there's
I think
another
they can
one. There's
click on
another
those, and that's a recommended video under
Oh,
that. I think they
okay.
can click on
Thanks,
those if they
YouTube.
want to watch more of our videos.
Sure. Okay.
What's that one? That's our subscribe button.
Yeah.
They can
They
subscribe to our
probably
channel.
want to do that. Yeah. They
Yeah.
don't want to just watch one and be done, right? We
Yeah,
got
they
more.
could
We
even
got
click on
more.
the bell icon.
Yeah, sure.
Is it?
Get all
we're,
of them.
We're still shrinking. What's going on?
Yeah.
I don't. Oh,
Dean,
good Lord, it's
honey, Dean shrunk us.
Ah!
Ah!
Ah!